Welcome back to Thinking Outside the Bank, where we not only talk about creative finance and real estate, but also touching base with real life people who are faced with real life problems and when face adversity have to think outside the box. Today, I'm joined by a friend, John Chan. He's a CPA and a financial advisor who's helping people unlock capital they didn't even know that they had using their self-directed IRAs. John's work is changing how investors think about retirement accounts, capital raising, and long-term wealth. And I've personally learned a ton from him, including how to invest with my own self-directed IRA. So let's break this down in a way that actually makes sense. And so let's welcome John on to the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Trevor.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. So I gave you a little brief insight of who you are, but please feel free to share and expand a little bit. Anything you think that the audience needs to know about you before we dive in.
Sure. So I got into real estate, been in real estate for, 7 years, but actually took it seriously for the last 5 years. I've done everything from long distance burrs, wholesaling, land flipping, and then really landed on private money lending just because it was really out of necessity to help my mom turn her retirement money into cash flow. And so yeah, like this is just things that I have done and I'm doing for myself, my wife, my parents, and childhood friends of mine.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've been doing this for a while.
Mhm.
What about private money lending? And I guess what about some of the other things led you away from some of those and towards the private money lending space?
Really, the numbers make sense to me. And I was never really good at managing a project. I kind of relied heavily on the boots on the ground, and I didn't really have a background in construction either. But for me, if I understand what an asset is worth and I loan up to a certain amount, I understand the consequences of the borrower default, then it makes it a lot easier than having to go and try to manage a rehab and do design too, because design is not my thing.
Not your thing, huh?
Yeah.
I can say design's not my thing as well. My partner and my wife both do really good job of that. I understand the numbers. I understand again what the asset's worth, the loan to value, what it could be worth, what the comps, the reading a market,
Yeah.
looking at all those things. And I enjoy almost more the analytics of it all. I guess you could call me the nerd for sure. But I think we definitely relate a lot on that, kind of hearing and seeing some of your stories. And maybe we'll get into some of your nightmare stories with some of your rentals. I know I've seen on social media, and I'm
Yeah, there's a ton of stories.
oh yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, what we'll do is we'll kind of run down some questions and kind of allow you to expand and allow you to share your knowledge and your know-how with some of the listeners here. So,
Yeah, let's do it.
so John, most people think their retirement money is locked away in Wall Street or, S&P 500. Why don't people realize they can invest those funds into real estate or into private deals?
It's not really widely advertised. I think mainly because when your money's locked into an employer's plan or provider's plan, they're making money off of your money. And so it behooves them to keep as much of that money in their accounts as possible. So when you take that money out and you put it into something like a self-directed retirement account, I mean, the custodian's getting paid a flat fee. So these larger banks, these larger institutions are not making money off of you. Because, I mean, they'll get a percentage of the account balance and then they'll get to, because you're kind of locked into their ecosystem, whatever products they offer, if it's within that ecosystem, you're probably paying higher fees than if you were to just go out and do it with like a regular E-Trade account, right? So, I think that's the big thing because I didn't being in the accounting world, finance and accounting world, I didn't know about self-directeds till a few years ago either.
That gap, I'll call it the awareness gap or the education gap, is costing people a lot of opportunity, um, a lot of ROI. And that was something I learned about, I think shortly before meeting you, was I really was just curious. I had all this money that my wife and I had invested into our local bank, which was where we had our savings account, our checking account. Um, we had family that had gone with them as their financial advisor. So I was like, okay, that's a natural thing. Well, then I'm naturally always asking why. And when I started asking why, I never really got any answers. I more of just got kind of very general blanket statements or avoided at least what I thought was the cold shoulder and never was really an educate. And I truly was just trying to learn. Like I wasn't trying to take the money and put it somewhere else. I just wanted to learn what was going on.
Yeah.
When I wasn't getting those answers, I started digging for answers. And then the more I found and the more I would look into the statements and learn how to read them, it's like, huh, all of these products, like what you just said, are invested within, their ecosphere.
Yeah.
Um, and when I'd ask about why so many trades were being done, then I realized that they were actually making profit off of the trades. And those had to be done quarterly. Even though
Mhm.
some of the trades didn't make sense, when I started to educate myself, started to read some books, then I found Vanguard accounts. And I'm going to ask you about that and your experience or your opinion of Vanguard as a whole. Because from my knowledge, it's a lot less in terms of fees.
Mhm.
And it's pretty clear it's an index fund, but maybe you can kind of expand on that a little bit.
Well, I don't have a ton of experience with Vanguard accounts. I mean, my experience with the market has been either through my retirement account or through picking individual stocks, which I ended up selling right before COVID because when everything shut down, I assumed that people were going to start losing money. Like if businesses aren't running, then how are they making money? So I pulled my money out and I kind of just lost trust in the stock market when I saw everyone taking their stimulus checks and throwing it in the market and pumping everything up. So I mean, for the past 5 years, my focus has just been on real estate. And so it's not like I would have anything negative to say about Vanguard accounts or whatever, any other investment options. It's just I wanted to invest in what I knew.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, if you don't know it. And also, I would say, me as an investor looking to invest with someone, I'd want to know that you have the education and the know-how, and it's something that you put your own money in and have some experience in, right? I don't want to go say I want to go invest in gold. Well, then I come find you who invests in real estate and give you a ton of money and think, oh yeah, I'll make you money investing in gold. So it does
Yeah.
make sense. And I have a little bit of experience with Vanguard, and I mainly read about it and learned about it again just because of the lower fees and kind of set it and forget it. We had a chunk of money, we sat there, and the other chunk, when I left my job here, 3 years ago, I realized I could roll that money over into an IRA. And I thought that meant just to my own private, IRA or 401k or whatever it was. And I was destined to learn. And that was right about the time I learned about self-directed IRA. So can you discuss how people actually get money into a self-directed IRA? I mean, and I can go into that example, but I think you know the one I'm kind of leaning towards, but also other ways as well.
Yeah, so the first thing is just making sure you have money that's eligible. So if you've left the company and that old retirement account is just sitting there, that money's eligible. If you've taken that old retirement account and put it into your current employer's plan, believe it or not, that's eligible. And then if you're of retirement age, you don't really have to wait to leave a job. You can still take money out of your current employer's plan and put that into a self-directed. And so the way that it works is essentially you find a custodian that you like and then you fill out all the paperwork, you open the account, and then what they will do is, at least the custodians I've worked with, and I've worked with three of them, what they'll do is they'll get on a three-way call with your old institution and yourself. They'll basically ask for permission, and then they will help you essentially transfer that money over into your self-directed or roll it over, right? Some vendors like ADP will send you a check, and then you just take that check and then send it off to your custodian, but it's really pretty simple. It sounds daunting, but it's a lot of custodians will work with you to make it as easy as possible.
That was my experience as well when I when I left. It took a couple months for it to like stabilize for me to leave the job and them to show that, but it was
Mhm.
exactly what you just said. I was on a three-way call. I got verbal confirmation. They sent me a check and then I went and deposited it, and like within a week I had
Mhm.
money in the self-directed IRA. So pretty
Yeah.
cool. But when what and the question I want to lean into as well is when someone first learns they can use a self-directed IRA, what mental shift do they have to make about how they view retirement and investing?
So I look at it like you always hear when you go into this world that you're supposed to bet on yourself. And I think this is part of it, understanding that you're going to go into this and you do as much as you can to learn as much as you can, right? And I don't know, I kind of looked at it like, well, I don't have access to this right now. I have confidence in my abilities that if I were to screw up with this money, I'm gonna make it up with the decisions that I make beforehand. And if I screwed all up, then at least I tried, right? But I think the biggest mental shift is this is money that I don't have access to now. What do I want to put it into to either build relationships or be part of a deal to learn or just put into something that I understand? And I think that's the biggest mental shift is just being willing to take action, like safe action, but take action and do something with it that will help you grow in whatever route that you want to go.
That's really good, man. And I thought that at first too. Honestly, the mindset I had when I shifted it was like, well, now I can invest in stuff, but now it's all up to me.
Yeah.
Part of that was scary, part of that was empowering, especially the more I learned about what the financial advisor was, not to say doing, not that he had a
Mhm.
malicious intent, but they're investing our money on our behalf, but they also have a horse in the race. Like
Yeah.
their goal is to make money. They're using it as a job as well.
Hmm.
So my mind was, I'm a smart guy, I can get educated and slowly start to invest this smarter and smarter. And I've only been investing it for a little over a year now. And the returns I've seen in just the first year have been better than what I saw the 5, 6 years that we had it with before. So I'm encouraged by that and kind of get that ball rolling slow. But it's been good. And I think that that mindset of fear, but also excitement was pretty cool. And now, yeah, like it's a new challenge. And I think you hit it on the nail best, or you hit the nail on the head best with, well, yeah, what if I fail? But hey, at least I tried. Like, what if I'm sitting here in 20 years being like, I don't have enough retirement money because I didn't put enough aside? Or what if I had done this 25 years earlier and done this, and how would it have changed my life? And I don't want to live the life with regrets and thinking that when I'm, retirement age, trying to enjoy life with my wife, thinking, oh, no, we still got to pinch pennies. So I'd rather learn it now. So, and fail and pick it back up. So
Yeah, for sure. I just, it's the whole thing about like betting on yourself. You can if you don't quit, like you'll figure it out at some point, right?
there you go. I love that. My quote is always, you can't lose if you don't quit.
Right. Yeah.
So just keep going. If you fail, cool. That's not it's not losing if you just pick it up and keep going and figure it out. Like
As
it's the
long as you
old,
learn from it.
well, I mean, what they always say, Benjamin Franklin took 10,000 times to figure out how to make a light bulb. What if he had stopped on, 9,999? We wouldn't
Right.
have electricity. Yeah, maybe somebody else would have figured it out, but yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
so at a high level, how does a self-directed IRA actually work, and what types of investments are people commonly using them for?
So I see it. So a self-directed retirement account is just like any other retirement account, except that you get to invest in whatever's that you know or want. So you can do gold. I've seen oil and gas. I've seen crypto. But a lot of what I do is private money lending and being an LP on someone's syndication. And that's really what I push, at least when you look into real estate, because I see people wanting to, and I've seen people go actually buy property with their self-directed retirement account. But if you read Tom Wheelwright's Tax-Free Wealth, that's a big no-no because you have a tax shelter inside of a tax shelter. So then you lose a lot of the tax benefits from doing that. Plus, owning rentals is a lot of work. Like it's considered passive by IRS standards, but it is not passive. And you're not always getting the cash flow that you think you're going to because stuff breaks. Tenants sometimes tear up the house. Sometimes tenants don't pay. Sometimes you have evictions, all these different things. So um, I see people investing in a lot of different things, but at least in my world, I mainly suggest doing like being an LP or doing private money lending.
What is an LP?
Limited partner. So basically, someone like Grant Cardone wants to go out and they want to go and buy a large apartment complex. They'll raise a bunch of money from individuals who will then are essentially passive partners, so limited partners. So they don't really have to deal with the operations, but they just put their money in and then they collect a return.
Okay. So that's where private money lender would come into play. You're a passive partner and you're just strictly lending for debt, correct?
Yeah, so on the private money lending side, the PML side, you're essentially like the bank, where you're holding debt. You don't hold any equity, but then as a LP, you actually are part owner.
Okay. Do you have any experience being like a private money partner on any of these deals as well?
I do, but that's outside of my self-directed, and you have to be careful. You can partner. You have to be careful when you're coming as a capital partner because if you haven't been an operator, it becomes very challenging if you're not happy with your operator partner. Um, so, I mean, this is a mistake that's, or not really yeah, a mistake, lessons learned, right? When you have money and you want to partner with someone else who doesn't want to put any money in or can't put any money in, you have to be very careful with who you work with. And if you don't have experience with that asset, if you don't know how to underwrite it, you don't know how to do due diligence on your partner, I would say take a step back and do something a lot more simple, like I guess lending because you're holding debt is very easy to get in and out versus being a partner because unloading assets, which I've been doing this year, is not it's a lot of work.
I I don't have as much experience, it sounds like, as you do, but I've seen a lot. I'm very observant, and I could say you'd even say I'm a little skeptical at times. So I hear in our community a lot, it's partner, 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 go find a partner,
Yeah,
do this, jump in. I'm open to partnering. It's like, well, okay, what's your experience with this? I'm not touting that I have experience, in certain areas where I don't.
yeah,
But a lot of people then you get in and people realize, well, none of us have experience doing this, so let's all just partner and somebody will figure it out. And you're mitigating the risk, but honestly, in my opinion, you're kind of creating more.
hmm,
And my mindset has definitely changed from that over the past, I'd say 6 months. Because originally it's like, yeah, I'll partner with anybody and everybody, like not anybody and everybody, but the more the better.
yeah,
And I think being a part of a business coach and him kind of directing me in that, it's like, well, what are you afraid of? Like you've already gone out on this venture outside of your W-2 on your own anyway. Like, why do you feel like you need three partners? So kind of questioning that. And also, I think, again, that's not just vetting an asset, but you're also, vetting the person, the operator that's doing it. So then that definitely becomes a much bigger risk. So
yeah, and it's much easier to unwind a private money lending deal than it is a private money partnering deal or a partnership. So you really get married.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. And the way I've heard it is like you date before you get married, right?
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about doing a partnership, why not go into that first deal as like a JV instead of creating an
Mhm.
LLC, an operating agreement, all of those things where you're essentially, married into that. Um, to make sure things work. So that way or having a very clear exit and having stipulations, an operating agreement that says if somebody doesn't perform and this is what their job task was, these are the repercussions. So I do like that. And it's definitely something when we talk safety and safety semester inside of the community,
Yeah.
definitely something that Mel Palmer talks about a lot and a lot of other amazing people in our communities for sure. So it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, let's get back to self-directed IRA. What are and I think you kind of led to this, and I wouldn't say it's a compliance issue, but you talked about a tax shelter inside of a tax shelter and somebody buying a or somebody buying a property, a rental inside of their self-directed IRA. Kind of off of that, what are the biggest mistakes or compliance issues that you've seen people make with self-directed IRA, especially when investing in like private deals?
So the biggest thing is not keeping good records. So when you own property inside your retirement account, you have to keep good records. All the expenses have to come from the retirement account. And so it becomes like a nightmare if you have one like it's manageable, but again, like you are doing all this work for money that you don't have access to until you're of retirement age. So I think the biggest thing is keeping good records. And then the next thing is not understanding what the rules and regulations are around owning property within your account. I've never done it. I've chosen not to because I started going through the list. And some of the things I saw were like, you can't go and swing a hammer, you can't go and touch the property, you can't maintain it. You have to go out and get a vendor to do it. And so once I saw all this stuff, well, first, I don't really want to do that. And second, books, I don't enjoy bookkeeping. I don't enjoy doing accounting. So I didn't want to have to keep track of all this stuff. So the biggest mistakes are going out and trying to do too much with your retirement account. Another question, I mean, I get a lot of people asking me, how can I use this to make today money? And I mean, there are ways, but they're not legal.
Yeah,
Uh, so you never want to play in that gray area because I mean, you could get dinged and then their whole account balance becomes, you get penalties and all that.
absolutely. Yep.
So people trying to find ways to fund their own flips or fund, whatever it is that they want to do outside of their account is something that I get asked about a lot too.
I've gotten asked that as well. And I even considered buying one in my own too. And then I started reading that too. And I was like, wait, I can't do what? And also my thought was I've got 100 grand in there. Cool. I need 95 to close. 5 grand left. Well, like you just said, all the expenses are supposed to be paid out of that account.
Hmm.
Well, if this property doesn't cash flow and I have no more money left in the account, then I really get into some gray area. It's like, well, and I couldn't, yeah, like you said, go swing a hammer, go fix a pipe, go, whatever. It's supposed to be subbed out. So I was like, no, let's stick with lending. So I've sticked with short-term lending on other people's fix and flips because trust me, I wanted to, fund my own.
Yeah.
And we almost actually, we have a private money lender that came in, was going to fund our flip with her self-directed IRA. And then also asked, hey, I would like to be a partner on this deal. I said, great. We've already vetted you. We've done a deal with you. I would be open to that as well. And then she was actually the one that remembered, but doesn't this cause an issue? I'm funding it with my self-directed IRA. And I was like, wait, wait, wait. Yes, you're right. Good catch. I
Yeah.
should have caught that. You did. I was so wrapped up with trying to get this deal closed and, get it funded.
Yeah.
I was like, actually, you have to stay the lender on here. You can't go on title because if you go on title and then you lend on your own deal, yeah, exactly. So
Gonna be problems.
exactly. So I've strictly stuck to this first year funding other people's fix and flips. Just
Mhm.
coincidentally enough, those people also have self-directed IRAs that they want to fund my fix and flips. Good
Yeah.
operator sees good operator. I'm not funding my own. I'm funding hers. She's funding mine. It's a beautiful scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, we can't access that capital right now, but um, it will be there when I go to retire. So it's good stuff. Just got to
Yeah.
remember that. And I've heard that too. How do we get cash out of that? Well, no, that's post post retirement. So
Yeah. I think the biggest advantage to doing that though is just building relationships with people. Because I've been able to use leverage the self-directed retirement account to we'll get into RV park and another one like build relationships with good operators. So it's not just like monetary, it's just there's a lot of benefits to it if you use it properly.
that's good. And I have another big investor that I actually want to introduce you to. It just kind of reminds me. She's doing a lot with her self-directed IRA, and I think I mentioned her before of funding some of our deals, but
Mhm.
no, she's looking to get into some bigger assets after these first couple. She did a first couple deals with us to get into it. But yeah, I want to introduce you. So,
Cool.
um,
Yeah.
what kinds of stuff do you do? Because I know you and I have talked kind of offline and kind of pushing the spotlight towards you.
Mhm.
How are you helping? How are you making a business out of this, of all that you've gathered as far as your education, and now you're educating others for their self-directed IRAs?
So I wouldn't say I've turned into a business that well. I put a lot of information together really because I always like kind of talking to my past self when I was looking at all these accounts. So what did you not know that you wish you had known? What resources do you wish were available to you? And I just kind of put it all together. And so I put like this like toolkit which helps you evaluate different custodians, what questions to ask about how to deploy money, timelines, and all that. Because I heard one custodian took about a week, takes a week to review everything and deploy money, and that's like the fastest, which I think is insane
Yeah.
because things kind of move faster than that. So yeah, like just uh, that plus I try to build a community where we can all kind of support each other and talk about because I see a lot of people getting burned and I would like to avoid people getting burned through just kind of support and throwing ideas out there. So I put this all together just to really build relationships because when you start building relationships with people, opportunities just kind of happen, get presented to you. So that's really the route that I guess I've turned into a business that way by really building long-term relationships. And if things work out and we start working together, great. And if not, that's cool too. Like I've made friends, so I'm not upset about that.
I love that. And I think I can personally relate to that is because I think that's kind of our story. I was introduced to you. You shared some information. It helped me get started along my journey. You didn't really profit from that, but lo and behold, a year later, I come back to you saying, this guy's still focused on the same thing. Was a real genuine guy, shared his knowledge, and now I actively want to bring people to you to learn. about investing their self-directed IRA. And truthfully, I want to continue to learn from you. And then ultimately, yeah, find ways to, again, it'll benefit us both in the future, kind of like what we talked about here recently. So
Yeah.
definitely want to send some more people your way and looking forward to that. So
Cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, I really enjoyed that time. We were sitting on the floor in the corner at Clever Summit, have a little sub two corner. That was
yep.
pretty fun.
Yes, yes, indeed. Oh man, I was just gonna say that that was a mindset shifting weekend for sure. But yeah, we spent a lot of time out there on the floor or standing out in the lobby. I came down to
Yeah.
Miami to go to an investing summit and spent most of the time out there interacting with people. But little did
Mhm.
I know, I think that's where, most of the power is out there. Yeah, there's some really high level speakers, but yeah, those friendships, those relationships that you build outside of that room are definitely worth its weight in gold. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So capital raising for
Mhm.
operators and even deal sponsors, excuse me, how should they think differently about raising capital once they understand self-directed IRAs? And this is a very selfish question
Mhm.
because I am a capital raiser, not only for my own deals, but also other people's deals actively right now.
Yeah.
And I always thought, okay, if I can find somebody as a self-directed IRA, great. I have a week, 2 weeks to close. I get them on board because like what you said before, my experience is it takes 2 to 3 days. It's even taken 4 or 5 days to get through that custodian.
Mhm.
But if I'm an operator and I'm coming to somebody like me wanting to raise capital, how should I be thinking differently about raising that capital now that I understand a little bit more about self-directed IRA?
I think the biggest thing is just getting with someone who can help facilitate the movement because I think a lot of people, especially where I used to live in the DC area, like, a lot of people are just switching jobs all the time. So they have old retirement accounts that they didn't really think about, or they might have rolled into their current employer's plan, but they want to be invested. They want to learn about real estate. They want to get into a project. They want to learn, right? And the best way to do that is to bring value, and they can bring value by bringing money. And so just saying that, okay, well, a lot of times when I'm raising capital, because I'm a capital raiser as well, a lot of times when I'm raising capital, they'll say, "Oh, I don't really have money available right now. It's in a CD or it's in, X, Y, or Z." I say, "All right, no problem. But have you switched jobs recently? Have you ever switched jobs?" And they'll say, "Oh yeah, I switched jobs like 2 years ago." And then they start asking, "Okay, well, what did you do with that retirement account? Is it still sitting there, or did you roll it over?" And they said, "Oh, they'll say either one." And they say, "Well, that's eligible for self-directed if you want to roll that into an account where," and then they'll start asking about self-directed to say it's just like any other retirement account, except that you can do whatever you can invest into a lot different assets. You can invest in alternative assets, real estate, crypto, whatever it is, and just walk them through the process. And then say, "Oh yeah, I'm interested. I want to learn more." Then I help them open that up. So just as a capital raiser, I would say it just gives you more options with the relationships that you're already building now. Or I mean that you've already built in the past or are building now, because it's just a way to educate and just bring value to them as well. Because if they want to unlock that money and get into real estate, you're helping them with another route to actually do that.
And I think that was a big mindset shift for me too. And also something that you just unlocked again that I need to circle back with some of my contacts is people saying, I've got 5 or 10,000 of liquid capital to invest, but I know they have a W-2. I know that they've either switched jobs or are planning to.
Hmm.
Keeping that as an option, keeping that as another mention of, hey, this is another way you could get into this, but also a very passive, like we mentioned, this is private money lending. Yes, you need to be able to underwrite and look at and know how to evaluate an asset or find people like us that are actively doing it.
Hmm.
And that is your, kind of into real estate. Um, that's what I originally got into when I was in my W-2 here 2 years ago
Yeah.
and I rolled it over. That was my thought was keep my W-2 and then I'm going to do this passive lending. Well, then my
Hmm.
W-2 shifted and obviously I'm no longer there and stepped full fledged into this. And I kind of not lost sight of it, but still am kind of doing that on the side. And I'm like, man, I really need to reevaluate that and also reevaluate how much I'm talking about this other asset that most people are sitting on that they, forget about. So really love that. And definitely unlocking capital without chasing it is big.
Yeah, just being available to bring value. I think it's what a lot of I see a lot of people like, trying to raise capital by just blasting messages to people saying, "Hey, I got this deal. Are you interested?" But I've never met you before. I don't know what you do, who you are. So I mean, that's just another thing is how can I help you? How can I bring you value? And if it means, I'm helping you learn more about self-directeds, then great. Then go out and let me help you get it open and all this stuff. And then what I like to do is I like to work with capital raisers too, because then I can be a resource to help them unlock capital with their capital partners by through self-directed retirement account education as well. So it's like a win-win.
That's good. That's good. It's really good. And I was just thinking that too of education, trying to actually unlock things for people versus, hey, who are you? I've never met you before. And a lot of my relationships start out like that as people messaging me, hey, do you have any deals? I had this guy message me the other day on Facebook. Hey, I'm looking for deals in your area. Send me anything you've got. I said, hey, and I just responded, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Trevor. How are you today? Like,
Yeah.
it's like uh so strange. And then we finally, oh, sorry, yeah, I got it. I'm wanting to buy this, which ended up being a nice guy. Just don't forget the human aspect of it and
Yeah.
realize, again, I
Right.
think lead with value first, and you're actually trying to help people and educate people and not scam people, because there really are so many of those everywhere you
Yeah.
look now, that you
Hmm.
almost got to kind of establish that trust and rapport first, of course, before have them thinking you're trying to sell them something. So um,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the best partners I've had on the private money lending side have been people that I didn't even try to raise money from. I just built relationships with, and they just happen to have money to deploy.
yep. Yep. I have a few of those now where it's a fellow professional, whether it be a PT, somebody else in healthcare that I can relate to. We build a
Mhm.
relationship. They see that, oh, wow, this PT of 12 years is now doing real estate. I want to learn more. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's them asking me, do you have any deals that I can invest in?
Yeah.
That's the capital I want to raise, not like I have a deal tomorrow. You're somebody brand new, John. I just met you. Can I get 50 grand? Like that's yeah, it's not gonna be a good relationship. And um,
Yeah.
so
And I just want to throw out there, like if you're brand new, do not no money deployed is better than bad money deployed in a bad deal. So understand how to underwrite, understand how to do due diligence before you deploy any money.
good point. And I think that brings me into one of my last two questions is if someone's listening realizes today they've been sitting on, investable capital for years without knowing it, what's the first step they should take to accessing their self-directed IRA?
I would say get educated, understand what a self-directed is, what to look for in a custodian, what kind of questions to ask. Talk to people who have self-directed retirement accounts. Ask them what their pain points have been with the custodians that they are working with now. Uh, that's a start. And then on the other side, if you're interested in this particular asset, start talking to operators. Don't invest with any of them. Just start learning under who they are because a lot of people can say that they're doing X, Y, or Z, but you want to get proof. Like the partner that I work with now in lending, I've known him for 3 years. I didn't start working with him until 10 months ago. So it's better to go slow. You always hear like take action. Take action by talking to people, learning, moving the business forward. It doesn't necessarily mean get into a deal. So I would say just get educated, talk to people who are doing what it is that you want to do, learn as much from them as possible. And then I mean, you're never going to feel ready, but once you have at least a pretty good understanding of what it is that you want to do or where you want to go, then look into it. But get educated.
That's amazing because I hear so many people that too, like brand new people, I want to take action, I want to get into a deal. And I've almost, instead of like encouraging that now, I'm like, what's your background? What do you know about Okay, first brand new. Cool. So was I. I was where you were. And I tried to jump into a deal too quick,
Mhm.
almost got burned. Like that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to hold you back. I'm just trying to encourage you to, take your time and learn. And so those are great. And I think anybody who's out with a good intention is going to encourage you to do the same thing as well. There's ways to take action without being like, I'm just dumping money into a deal
Yeah.
or really not having clarity of what kind of deal you want to get into. You just want to be in real estate so bad you're willing to jump into any deal, whether it's a bad operator, over leverage, whatever. definitely
Yeah.
not something I would recommend as well. So that was good. Um, Last question. When you think of thinking outside of the bank, what does that mean to you in your space of private money lending, self-directed IRAs, and just your kind of overall real estate journey as a whole?
Yeah, so for me, it's about becoming the bank, acting as banks act, because even though banks always make the most money, right? The lender always gets paid one way or another. So for me, it's about taking your money and instead of putting it into a bank and getting 4 or 5% return on your money, is putting into a real estate deal where you're getting double that, triple that. So to me, thinking outside the bank is you don't necessarily have to put your money in the bank. You can control where that money goes, how it's invested, and do it in a way where you now act like Wells Fargo or whatever it is.
Okay. So now outside of real estate, outside of capital raising, outside of PML, what does that mean to you and your, thinking outside the box in terms of your life and how have you had to apply that principle with maybe some of your real estate deals that maybe didn't go as planned?
Uh, well, I mean, honestly, I don't do a ton with creative finance. I've bought, one house sub two, bought one house seller financed, but everything has just been the traditional route because I always, I've always just been in the lending space. Well, I mean, I haven't always been in the lending space, but I've started off doing the Burr method and I used hard money lenders and so outside of the lending world, I don't really do a ton with that other than maybe like just being an LP on someone's syndication. That's probably the most uh the most I do.
Okay. I seem to remember, I don't know how long ago this was, but seeing on social media, maybe one of your rentals caught fire.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
happened?
one of my rentals.
I've been trying to find a way to poke, and I was honestly like, okay, maybe thinking outside the bank or thinking outside the box creatively after that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just even creative finance. What happened? What lesson did you learn from that whole scenario other than I don't want any more rentals?
So I'll tell you this. This year has been tough for my rentals. So that was one of the houses, right? In February, I own a row home in Baltimore, and the house next door burned down all the way down, and it damaged my property. It cost like $25,000 to get it fixed, and uh, so yeah, like the fire somehow damaged my porch and all that. So that was one. Another one I had just done the foundation like 4 years ago. It has a crawl space. And I fixed the foundation, it cost me 24 grand 4 or 5 years ago. But the vents were clogged, so there was no airflow. So moisture was stuck in there, started rotting, eating away at the wood. So my water heater ended up falling through the floor. So that cost me another 25,000 to rip everything up. Brand new floors I just put in 4 years ago, rip it all up, put it, fix everything, put it back down, sell it. I've replaced this year I've replaced 6 roofs, averaging about, 10 grand each. So uh so I'll tell you rental properties are if you they're like savings accounts and a lot of times they're money pits. I mean if you look at the I know you're talking about that one house, but I'm going through and this is kind of
Okay,
like I don't know if it's like
good.
venting. It's a lot of big reason why I'm not doing this anymore is because I bought in areas where I bought, A, B, and C class. The C class ones have been a lot of trouble for me. So yeah, this has been a tough year in terms of rentals. I think the original question was the Baltimore house, but this is all the things that have happened
Yeah.
this year.
Wow. And I take it all of those repairs weren't paid out of a self-directed IRA?
No, it was quite painful, but it was all like outside of self-directed retirement account money because I wasn't allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Boy, boy, boy. Yeah, I think this comes at a very timely crossroads for me as well, thinking about that because a year and a half ago I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of this like small time lending game and go buy a ton of rentals. And
Yeah.
bought one sub two and with a partner, and partner's great, but the process has not been good. And um, finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel to get out of that. And I may not look back and just focus on the lending space as well and fix and flip. So it's good
Yeah,
stuff, man.
ownership is good. It's good. You build wealth, but you either set up for it or you just be. That's why I keep pushing. Be an LP on someone else's deal. Do your due diligence on the operator, but be an LP, you'll have a lot less headaches.
That's good, man. It's good. So, well, I want to say a big thank you to you, obviously, for breaking this down, breaking down the self-directed IRA, and obviously showing our listeners how they can completely change the way people invest and build wealth. And hopefully, obviously, this converted some people, opened their eyes to new possibilities, and really want to find a way to get them in touch with you. So, what's the best way if somebody heard this and was like, "Oh, I want to get connected with John and learn some more. How can I push them towards you?"
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. My handle is JONCHANRAI. So just reach out to me on one of those platforms. I'm happy to share all the good and the bad.
Perfect. I'll put that down in the show notes as well, so that way, as people see this in the future, hopefully they'll reach out to me, to you, and get them connected to unlocking some more capital for them. So thank you, my friend, and yeah, look forward to having many more conversations. I know we're still local, at least part time. I know you're up in DC right now, freezing for the holidays, but when you get back down,
Yeah.
man, we gotta get connected and get back in person.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk to you.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, enjoy the holidays, and I will talk to you soon, John.
Take care.